Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, but I'm back and I have a lot of fun videos planned for you. Today we're gonna be doing the mid-year wrap-up tag that's been going around. I'm really late to the game because June is almost over, so technically, not technically, June is the middle point of the year. So we're gonna essentially talk about some of my favorite books and we're gonna kind of go from there. I'm going to pull up the tag here. I saw Sarah Crowley did it. I like it when booktubers put the entire tag questions on the description box, so it helps us to complete it. First question, I'm gonna put the question over here. It says, what are the best books that you've read this year? I think it's only supposed to be one book, but I want to kind of highlight some of the best books I've read this year. Let's start with probably the best book that I have read, period. There's a lot of mixed reviews about this book, but this is truly one of my favorite books of all time. I think I have read a book that gave me the same feeling this book gave me, and I have been chasing that feeling. Essentially, this is a fantasy standalone and is a Alice in Wonderland retelling, and this is a retelling about the Queen of Hearts. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's a standalone, and this author is very good at doing retellings. She actually has a whole series where she does retellings, and I haven't got into that yet. I'm kind of scared of continuing to read her books though, because I don't think any of her books are gonna top this one for me, so I'm gonna give her other books a chance. So yeah, definitely read this. If you take anything from this video, please let it be. Read Heartless and let me know your thoughts. I have been talking about this book since I finished it, and it's just the best thing I have ever read. Next up, we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. This was truly one of the most refreshing books I have ever read. I gave this book also 5 out of 5 stars. I honestly can't put into words what this book meant to me. It felt like a 20-something-year-old was writing a diary, and we could all see ourselves reflected on some of the stuff that this book went over. I feel like it's a fiction book, but everything about it felt so real, and Emily Henry does that so well. This is about this group of friends that goes to this vacation house. There's a little bit of fake dating in it. I feel like explaining it doesn't really grasp why this book meant so much to me. You just have to read it and see for yourself. Then we've got, we're still on the first question, but Once Upon a Broken Heart. I honestly had no idea that Stephanie Garber was such a genius. This is also a fantasy book. I think it's also based in the Alice in Wonderland world. I could be wrong about that, but I don't really want to spoil this book from you guys, so I'm not really gonna say what this one's about. The type of book that you just have to go into it without knowing what it's about and just see for yourself what all the hype is about. I wasn't expecting to like this one almost as much as I liked A Curve of Mist and Fury. I really liked it. This is the book that kind of gets into the war, politics and stuff like that, but I actually really enjoyed it. And then Fourth Wing by Rick Ayaras. It is highly popular for a reason. This is a fantasy book that takes place in this cadet school for dragon riders, and then you have healers and you have professions, but essentially it's its own fantasy world. And it was so entertaining, and he leaves you on a cliffhanger. The next book doesn't come out until the fall, so read it at your own risk. Next question is the best sequel I have read so far, and that will probably have to be Olive Ever After. This is the one that follows Once Upon a Broken Heart. I've never read a sequel that's 10 times better than the first book. They're pretty even, but this one, it just kind of blows you out of the water. Also ends on a cliffhanger, and the next book doesn't come out until the fall. Also read it at your own risk, because we won't have the next book for a while. The next best sequel will probably be, this is not really a sequel, it's like the third or fourth book in the series, but I think it qualifies, will be Daisy Heights: The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. I actually have a really fun video coming up that has to do with Jessa Hastings. It's just really taking me a while to film because I have to be in the mood to read what I'm supposed to read for that video. But anyways, no spoilers. I really love this book. This is the second Daisy Heights book in the Magnolia Parks universe series, and it did not disappoint. It actually made me like Daisy and Christian more than I liked them in the first book. New release that I haven't read but I really want to read, it will have to be Divine Rivals. I don't remember the author's name. I'm going to put a picture of the cover over here. That's a book that has been gaining a lot of traction now, and I'm currently in a phase where I'm really trusting book talk, so I really like Fourth Wing, so I'm going to give this one a chance. Then we have most anticipated release. That will have to be A Curse of True Love by Stephanie Garber. I cannot wait for the next book in this series. It's probably my current favorite series of all time. Aquatar is pretty up there. Then it's asking biggest surprise. So this book was a book that I had picked up in the past. I read some of it, put it down. I wasn't really interested in it, but then I did a video where I read Sarah Caroli's 5-star reads and recommended this book. It's called Before We Were Strangers by Carolino, and I was obsessed with this book. I read it, I gave it I think 4 or 5 stars. It's second chance romance. It takes you alternating timelines. It's set in New York. It's just a perfect fall read. Next is asking new favorite author, or at least new to me. This is an author that's definitely new to me. I think she's been around for a little while, and that'll be Marissa Meyer, the author that wrote my all-time favorite book, which is Heartless. I love her writing style so much. She has one of the most poetic writing styles that I've ever seen, and because of that I'm just absolutely obsessed. This is a book that I want to get another copy and annotate it and reread eventually. I'm going to try doing that during the fall or winter, because it is such a cozy fantasy, but then it's also hard. So yeah, that will be my new favorite author. Then it's asking newest fictional crush. That'll probably have to be Jax from Once Upon a Broken Heart and not Fort Wind. In The Ballad of Ever After, I really like the male character in this series. I cannot wait to see how the author is going to bring us back into this world with the next book. But yeah, he might be my newest fictional crush. To get a little repetitive, because a lot of my favorite books also contain the same characters that I love so much that have those qualities that really stuck with me. The question is book that made me cry. I'm honestly one of those really annoying people who I don't really cry because of books. I will cry in a movie. I will cry in a movie like a baby. Titanic makes me cry. Elvis made me cry. I really cry in the most unexpected movies ever. But this book did make me cry. And not only made me cry when I finished reading, throughout the book it made me cry, and then also made me cry every single time I think about it. That is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is one of the saddest books I have ever read. Down. And yeah, I still haven't recovered. This is one of the biggest book hangovers I have ever been in because of this book. Just asking a book that made me happy. So this is kind of weird though, because I feel like the books that really stick with me don't necessarily make me happy. They just kind of leave this like longing feeling. But there are a lot of really happy moments in this book. I mean, it is called Happy Place, but the aftermath feeling that this left me with, I would definitely say it was a feeling of contentment. So yeah, I'll go ahead and say Happy Place. Asking most beautiful book, and I think they may question kind of refers to the cover of the book. I will say my favorite book covers of all time are the OG Magnolia Parks universe covers. So this is a Daisy Heights book. It's probably one of the most beautiful covers I have ever held in my hand. I believe this is a painting. I don't think it's Monet. Maybe it is. It is a classic painting in the back, and then this is just like such a classic cover. Bad news though, I think the author is switching out the covers. I do think people are being a little mean about it, because I'm guessing it's a business decision, and I do think probably people are still gonna buy this series a lot, but they are switching the covers. They're making them more like mainstream in a sense, but I'm stuck with the OG covers. It's kind of unfortunate that I think the next book is going to come out in this series. It's not gonna have the original matte covers. I'm just a Hastings stan, so I'm still gonna continue reading this series. This is the most beautiful cover of the year. And lastly, this is where I'm gonna try to go through it faster. Some books that I want to read before the year is over, and hopefully I actually book that I do really want to read before the year is over, and that will be The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Honestly, a little under halfway on this book. Picked up this book a while ago because I think Haley Fam recommended it, and I couldn't get into it, which doesn't really happen that often. Her books are usually pretty dead on to my taste. This one just wasn't. But then I've seen other people whose opinions I actually do respect when it comes to books, and they seem to really enjoy this thriller. And I'm yet to finish a Riley Sager book, so I really should just push through it and finish this one, because I do have another one and I'm also not into it. So maybe his writing style is just not for me, but I do want to finish this one. I need to stop talking. So I'm in my fantasy era right now, and I'm going through fantasy books like drinking water. It's just going so me. I'm obsessed with the fantasy genre right now. I haven't read anything but fantasy in this entire month, so that's very new for me. This is a series that I really want to get through. This is a Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I think there's a show, so before I watch the show I do want to read these. Note, I do really want to finish also the Shadow Me series. I haven't been reading the novellas. I think I only have 3 more books. Yep, I have this one and then this 2. I think I need to double check. I haven't been reading the novellas. I actually started this one. I took a break from Shatter Me. I just feel like I need something different. It is a really big world to just be, you know, committed to, and I just literally messed up the corner of that book. That's gonna bother me. But yeah, I really want to finish Shatter Me. If you don't know, Shatter Me is a dystopian series about this girl that if you touch her you will die, and that's all I'm gonna say. And at this point I feel like everyone and their mom has read Shatter Me. Well, yeah, I really want to finish these so I can have a series on my shelf that I have actually finished, although I think Akutar is gonna be done. This book, I was actually really excited for this to come out, even though the first one wasn't great. It's entertaining enough that I decided to get the second one because I thought it was gonna be more interesting. I didn't get into it, but I do really want to finish it though, because I feel like everyone that I follow likes this book, and I just don't know what's wrong with me. I just can't get into that series. But the next one, it's about Lucian, I think, and I really like his character, so I should probably read this one so I can get the next one when it comes out. Historical fiction book. This is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmas. I really want to read this book. This is about this woman that's a scientist, and she's in a team, and then I think she enters the culinary world and has some success in that, and essentially just kind of marks like a new territory, or like sets an example for other women. And yeah, it just sounds really interesting and I really want to read it. It's coming out, so I can't watch the movie unless I read this. Finish my reread of Beach Read. So I'm like about halfway, but this is something that I definitely want to get through this summer, and definitely before the year's over. Next we have an arc. This is called The Block Party, and yeah, this was a arc that was sent to me. Ellen Hildebrand left a review for this book, and I think it doesn't come out until like later next month. I really want to read it. I have been in the mood for a thriller like this, like a whole neighborhood situation, some really sketchy scenery where everyone seems to be highly suspicious. Yeah, I want to get into this one before the year is over. And then lastly, I feel like there's gonna be so many other books that I'm gonna try to read before the year is over, but these are the ones that I within reach right now. It will have to be the Grey series. This is another dystopian book. My friend Sarah on TikTok has been talking about this book. I think she's been reading it, and it sounds interesting. And I do think Haley Fan was the one who really put this on the radar of people. I think it's a dystopian book about, oh, it's given The Handmaid's Tale a little bit from what I can see. I'm not gonna read you guys the description, but I've heard it's creepy and it's also dystopian, so we shall see. That brings you to the end of this video. Make sure to continue hitting the subscribe button. Let me know what other books I should add to my end of the year TBR, essentially my next half of the year TBR, and I'll make sure to look into those books. If you want to send me your favorite book, I do have my wish list link down below. You don't have to, but you guys sometimes ask, so that's where you find it, is in the description box. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.